Witches have always been a bit of figment and fact, appearing in some way in every culture and throughout history. They've been said to have supernatural healing abilities, calling back loved ones, precious livestock, and near-barren lands from the brink of demise. Further still, they've crossed the threshold between this world and the next to summon, speak to, or even command the dead. In recent years, they are the subject of comic book movies and television shows, where their powers are only limited by the budget of the special effects department. No matter whether the witch is something more than human or as mortal as the rest of us, for many people, these stories spark an interest in magic that never quite goes away. I've gathered together 9 stories of witches, a coven of stories, if you will, that encompass the history of the witch through time and how these stories are thriving in the modern era. Welcome to Horror Stories Fanatics. If you enjoy this type of content, then subscribe and hit the bell icon so you never miss out on any of our latest and greatest uploads. Madeleine Miller, Cersei. Madeleine Miller's 2019 masterpiece features history's first witch, the eponymous Cersei. She's presented as a relatively minor goddess who likely would have been relegated to a footnote in a classics textbook somewhere, except for the fact that she realizes her power doesn't lie in carrying the sun across the sky like her father Helios, but in the hidden magic and medicine of plants. Miller's prose is at once familiar and romantic while always teetering on the edge of ripping the reader's heart out, which is my favorite kind of book. Lost Queen, Sign Pike. The Lost Queen puts a magical spin on a nearly forgotten story of a very real queen from history, Languoreth, who ruled in the 6th century Scotland. She is the twin sister of the man who went on to inspire the legend of Merlin. But that isn't the only magical tie in the book. Languoreth allies herself with a woman whose strength and magic forever changed the course of her life. If you've been pining to go back to Camelot, but want a fresh take on the legend, this trilogy will hit all the right spots. Terry Pratchett, Witches Abroad. One cannot make a list of witches in literature without mentioning the work of the late great Terry Pratchett. Witches Abroad is part of Pratchett's Discworld series and the third of the books to focus on witches. Granny Weatherwax and friends provide a hilarious journey through the nature of stories and how the most powerful magic of all might just be psychology or headology. You will never look at the game of poker quite the same way again. The Physic Book of Deliverance Dane, Catherine Howe. This book is many things. It is a mystery surrounding a curious book that may or may not contain the recipes for real magic. It is a story of self-discovery and diving into one's own family history. It features multiple delicious library settings, and it is the story of the witch who got away from Salem and what happened to her daughters. Alice Hoffman, Magic Lessons. If you've read many books about witches, you've undoubtedly come across the Owens family at the heart of Alice Hoffman's iconic series of books that began with practical magic. Many real-life witches and magical practitioners trace their interest back to the 1998 movie adaptation, which begins with a scene in which Maria Owens, the matriarch and first witch of the Owens line, is set to be hanged in Salem, until, of course, magic happens. Magic Lessons is the story of Maria, and if you have any interest in the magic of apple pie or speaking to ravens, this book is a must-read. 6 Women of Salem by Marilyn K. Roach. Indulge me for a moment as I diverge from this list of fantasy and historical fiction to mention Marilyn K. Roach's brilliant nonfiction account of the witch trials of Salem, centering 6 women at the heart of the trials and leaving no stone unturned. If you have ever been interested in the intersection of the facts and fiction of witchcraft, this feverishly readable book is an excellent starting point. The Mermaid, the Witch, and the Sea by Maggie Tokuda Hall. This book features queer pirates, blood-drinking mermaids, a runaway royal, and a witch whose magic is one of the most unique forms of spellcasting that I've seen in recent years. Maggie Tokuda Hall presents an inclusive narrative in a seafaring world that doesn't center on either whiteness or cisgender heteronormativity. As with Pratchett, Tokuda Hall tells the reader that the most powerful magic is stories, especially the ones we tell about ourselves. Cemetery Boys, Aidan Thomas. I am a sucker for a gay ghost, and Thomas's story about a young transgender Brujo's journey to acceptance by his family and community features one of the sweetest, most tender queer romances I've ever read. This book joyously celebrates Latinx culture and provides an updated take on the tried and true trope of a family of magical practitioners taking on a dangerous threat. Jessica Lewis, Bad Witch Burning. Lewis's book is the most recent in this list, but it's easily one of the most profound. While firmly centering a story of a young witch discovering her power to speak to and later summon the dead, it's also a meditation on blackness in America, poverty, and the yearning to change one's circumstance. Lewis's character work is some of the best in modern fiction, and I, for one, cannot wait to see what is next from this new author. And with that, we've reached the end of this video. If you enjoyed it and you found it helpful, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more content just like this. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you again in the next one.